the meantime, do you watch House of Cards on Netflix? Season 3 now out, as you know, and once again the fictional Prez, Frank Underwood, captivating our attention. One of the themes this season is his mission to make sure a jobs program happens, a program called America Works. But a lot of his political wrangling is unilateral, decisions made on his own without the support of Congress. Sound familiar?
Where you had your hand.
Time for some real talk now with Tony Saig and Leslie Marshall, both Fox News contributors. Thanks for being here today. All right. So, Leslie, I know you're a fan of the show. Tony, I know you are as well. Does it sound familiar, Leslie, about all these unilateral decisions that Frank Underwood is doing as president? I'm thinking about executive actions on immigration and Bo Bergdahl and even the deal with Iran.
Well, clearly in Hollywood, even if this is based in D.C. and on Netflix and not on regular television, clearly we are imitating life, and we've had that for a very long time, and using life to get its storylines. We see it on Law & Order on NBC as an example. But I feel that these characters are very different. The real-life character of our president, President Obama, and, of course, Frank, played by Kevin Spacey. Obviously, every politician, regardless of their party, has their goals. Every president we have seen for decades uses and issues executive orders.
Yeah.
But I think the similarities stop there. And the reason for these characters pushing forward stops there as well.
All right. Tony, what do you make of it? I mean, I think the producers of House of Cards, they just had to look at what was going on in real life, and they said, Frank should do that this year.
Tons of drama going on in the building behind me, for sure, Gretchen. Certainly inspiring a lot of storylines. Look, the only thing that's different in the House of Cards that really shows how things should work is the Republicans and Democrats in the Congress came together and opposed President Underwood's America Works program because it was a unilateral overreach of executive action. None of these guys behind me in this building who are Democrats have ever stopped President Obama, whether it's the brazen overreach on immigration reform. You've mentioned others, the EPA regulations that he's doing, pretty much straight through executive action. Obamacare, the mandates and delays and the fixes, none of them are going through the legislative process. They're all going through executive action.
Right.
And not one Democrat in the building behind me, like the Democrats and Republicans in the show, have actually band together and protected their constitutional right to be part of the process.
That is so true, Leslie. I mean, the fact of the matter is, on the show, Democrats and Republicans, they are horrified that some of this activity would go on based on the way in which the Constitution was written. Why don't we see that in real life?
Well, quite frankly, we see more, I think, bipartisan support across the board, whether it's for or against Frank on House of Cards. But with regard to the president's executive orders, maybe the reason that Democrats aren't crying out along with Republicans is, again, there's no there there. The president does and is within his right. We have lawsuits that have been brought up and dropped. We have issues that go all the way to the Supreme Court, and
Correct.
There has not yet been anyone there standing that says, okay, the president's outside of bounds, overreaching, and stepping on the Constitution.
But Tony, should it actually operate and run that way?
Anybody observing the president's action, particularly this last one on immigration, understands this is going to become a Supreme Court case. Leslie, I think you know that on many levels. There have been lower court rulings that have actually fast-tracked this, and I think we're going to see it in front of the court sooner or later. The other major difference, though, because I do want to agree with Leslie on something, President Frank Underwood and President Barack Obama are very different. Frank Underwood came from Congress, is an operator, is a pragmatist, is kind of one of those good old boys kind of members of the political class. President Obama really doesn't make any real personal relationships with the members of Capitol Hill. We know this now. It's a frustration they've discussed. He has no real ability to broker because he really is not that personally well-liked.
You've gone very deep into the House of Cards and the similarities or lack thereof. I appreciate it. To the both of you, we'll see you again next week.